everybody? OldSchoolNYCGamer here once again, and today's going to be a very special video, ladies and gentlemen, for two reasons. Mainly is going to be what I have now and what I'm going to be upgrading to. Now, of course, you saw in the title and the thumbnail, it's very obvious what I'm doing. So let me just show you, and I got these in the mail in the last couple of days. Let me just show you right here. Bam. Now, thanks to Tipster, I'll leave his link down at the bottom. He did his own upgrades, or actually I believe he built his NES Mini and Super Nintendo Classic Mini. But I'm going to do more of an upgrade, because basically, if you remember from the streams I did a couple of weeks ago, I'm just going to show you the difference, and I'll show it in a more detailed video. These are the two Raspberry Pis that I have, and like I said, I'll go into more detail on that. So in this video, I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I ordered. We're going to go through step by step exactly how this is going to be built, you know, and then show you how it's going to go. And from there, we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, I do apologize in advance for seeing the shadow in the foreground right over here, but this is all what you need to do. If you have a Raspberry Pi and you want to just convert the case over, it's super easy. Or you just have the Raspberry Pi itself. You only need two things, and I do recommend getting heat sinks and a little fan, and this is where it's going to come to play. You will see that in a second. So let me just show you originally the old school Raspberry Pi case that I got. I believe I got it off Amazon a while back. I remember seeing that in a video. So, you know, it looks pretty plain. You know, unless you had, you know how to line it for a LED light. You have the little LED, but it doesn't have it. And of course, these buttons do not function. They're just hard-on buttons right there. And of course, you have your 4 USB ports in the LAN. And of course, your audio out, HDMI, and USB in for the power. And this is where the SD card slot goes. So I must really stress this. Before you take the Pi out, take this out. Very important. You don't want to damage the Raspberry Pi, nor do you want to damage the memory card. So I'm just going to put this over to the side for one moment, and let me just unbox the NESPi Case. Retro Flag for us all. Now, I believe Retro Flag put this out, but I did get this off of Amazon. So if anybody's interested, I'll leave the link to that down there. This was $25. So originally they were wanting $40, I think more than that, from looking at Tipster's video. But of course, like, I waited a little while for the, I don't know if it was a sale or whatever, but I got it. So this is what it's like when you open it. And it's definitely compares to the size of the actual NES Classic. So let me just take it out. And there's a couple of things in here too. Yep. A screwdriver and the instructions, which is super easy. So let me just show you the difference. Of course, now you're looking, you're thinking this is a NES Mini, and no, it's not, because it is a NESPi case. And I'm going to show you the really cool thing is, listen to this. Yes, functioning power and reset buttons, and it does really, you know, keep to the roots of the NES, even with the 2 ports here. But when you open this up, you got an extra 2 ports. So of course, if that random game that has 4 player, which is not really that many of them, and your network LAN connection. But let me show you once you open it up. Like I said, people will get intimidated by looking at this. But let me just reset the autofocus on this. And basically that's it. That's all that's in there. You just have a couple of screws. And basically, you just have, this is where you'd be plugging your power to the Raspberry Pi board. Your one USB connection right here to the Pi, and the LAN cable. And like I said, I'll just, you know, once it's closed up, I'll show you exactly everything and how it looks. And let me just do a quick jump cut. Okay, so I'm ready to take apart this Raspberry Pi case, take out the Pi, and move it over here. So I'm going to go step by step exactly to show you how to do it. Don't be intimidated by this. It's actually very easy, but I'm also not responsible, nor will I take any responsibility if you ruin yours. Just showing you how I'm doing it. So, of course, with a magnetic screwdriver, if you have one, of course, a smaller bit if possible. You got 4 screws on this case right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. put that there for one moment. Let me just move this over to the side. Okay, so there's a couple important tips. Just remember, for the power cable here, you're going to be putting it in the first set of pins, which you will see in a moment. Okay, so this is basically, as you already cannot tell, this is the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B. So once again, I'm just going to show you exactly how this is done. First, you take your LAN cable and you plug it in there, and of course the USB cable, you put that in there, and of course right here, so you can see the power, it goes in the last 4 pins. Sorry, I didn't see that. The last 4 pins, if it will focus for me, the last 4 pins of the board. Take your time, just be very careful. Of course, you don't have to be doing this through a camera. And there you go. So of course, once just secure it, make sure you line it up with the holes right here, so long as you can see through them. You got it right there. So now, you got to be wondering, like I said before, I have the heat sinks here. I'm going to be putting these heat sinks on the Pi itself, and I'm actually going to be adding a fan to this. There's a little thing here that I'm going to show you that's actually really cool that I saw when I saw it on another unboxing video. So let me first put the heat sinks on. Make sure though, if you're going to be doing this exact project, make sure that the label is facing out, not in, because you want the fan blowing down, not up. So as I said before, when you look here, whoa, there's actually a little area for the specific fan, so I don't even need to use screws for this. So basically it just snaps into place. Just be very careful when doing this. Once again, you're gonna hear it snap, and there you go. So what you do is next, you just plug this into the next 2 pins of the header right there. And of course, like I said, just be very careful when doing this, because you have to line this up correctly. Sorry about that, everybody. I am back. I had to triple check this. Now these screws, as it falls, this specific screw right here, way too thick to fit on that board. So looking at the board itself, the 6 screws, actually 2 of them will lock onto the board, so it should definitely keep it in place. So with that said, of course, the one nice touch I do like is they actually have, as you see, I put the fan right here. Actually, I was not supposed to put it here. It was supposed to be over here, so that was my mistake. And let's do it to it. Okay, so there you go. So of course, we're going to gently close this. Okay, and just like with the old school NES, just make sure everything is locked in and flush. Okay, and we're going to proceed to put the 6 screws in. There's a little thing I forgot to mention. If you look here, if you remember in the old NES, this is supposed to be for a port, but if you pop this open, if I don't break it, right here it says micro SD storage right there. So you could actually put a couple of your SD cards in there. But it's not necessarily needful, because like I said, I'm only doing this just for the Nintendo itself. So we're going to hook this all up, turn it on, test it, make sure it works, and we'll be right back. Well, the moment of truth is here, ladies and gentlemen. There is the NESPi Case to show you that it's all happening in real time. There is the plug, the AC plug, the HDMI, the Pi right there with the controller, and there's the TV. So without further ado, let's just turn it on. Got the power light, and now you see it booting up safely into RetroPie, and I definitely do prefer this over to just plugging it and unplugging the system. And I do got to give it to RetroFlag for Definitely making a better design. I really got to admit that. So if you hear it really quickly, that's the fan going, so you know it's doing its job. And with those heat sinks, it's definitely going to be worth it. So as you can see right there, sorry for just focusing real quick, we're in RetroPie, and just to show you that I'm not you know, messing around. Sorry for the shoddy camera angle action there, but just to show you that it works. Just really go into a quick game of something just so I know that it works, and then we'll do the shutdown. Go into Galaga. And we'll just start it up. Okay, just to show you. So wait till it starts. Like I said, I'm only holding this in one hand, but you know, it all does work pretty fine. And let's just exit out of here. So I just want to see what it's like if you reset it. So I'm just going to hit the reset button. Well, basically, yeah, I guess it just reboots into the mode itself. But that's okay, in case, like I said, if you want to do that, that's up to you. But usually, you know, that's what save states are for, and then you could, you know, safely shut down the Pi. So I'm going to let this reboot one more time, and then I will shut it down, and then we'll get over to the Super Nintendo. Okay, so there you see it right there. So I'm just going to shut it off. And there you go. So let's move on over to the Super Nintendo. Let's check that one out. Alrighty, so let's move on to the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. So, once again, I must stress this. I do not take any responsibility if you damage your project here. I'm just showing you how I'm doing it. Now, see here, this is the case I got off of Etsy a while back. It's a 3D laser printed case. You know, it's good for what it is. I'm not going to hate on it. It's, like I said, nice aesthetically. You know, of course, the controller ports, everything is over here on the one side. But this is way vastly improved, and I'll show you why. So let's first off take out the SD card for the Super Nintendo, put that over there, and with your screwdriver, a magnetic one preferably, you take out the 4 screws here. And of course, with this 3D case, there's an option to put a fan in here. Now, if I'm, let me go grab the one fan that I actually, spare fan that I have, that I was going to use for this project, but I got a feeling it might be too small. And let's see. I mean, it does fit in there, but of course, there's a problem because I need the specific screws for this. And looking at it, looking at the screws that came with this fan, they don't exactly line up with the screw holes here. So that's going to be a problem. And I don't want to hot glue it. So I'm going to have to come back to this when I can. But in the meantime, we'll just take the case out very gently. You got to be careful here. Let's see. Oh, I just realized. Nope, never mind. There were 4 more screws in here. That's why you always got to double check this before you go into it, folks. So let me just take these 4 screws out like so, but very carefully. And here is the 4th one. There you go. So we'll just put the Pi down here, and of course put this over to the side. And let's check out the Rasptendo. Yes, this was made by, I believe, I forgot what company, I should say it here, Rasptendo.com. And of course, this is, Tipster talked to me about this, and even showed it on this video. Now, the cool thing is, of course, it also has an indicator light right here. Now, I believe you could actually even solder. There's some soldering, but not necessary for this. So once we take it out, I'll just put the box back there for a minute. Get this out of the bag very gingerly and carefully because I don't want to bang it out. Okay. Now, of course, it comes with the assembly instructions. It's not necessarily that hard to do. So, but of course, we'll just like go through it really quick because it is definitely a lot different compared to the last project. And of course, when you open it up, you got all your little screws all in here and a couple of heat sinks, which I already have. And yeah, I mean, I'm just like randomly looking through the board here. This is what the board, one part of the board, well, the main part of the board looks like. And of course, you have your two USB ports that you have to plug in for your controls. Now, this wire is very, very important. As you can see right here, let's see if I could put it in the corner and you can see a little better. Let me just try to focus in on that. If it will let me focus. Maybe? No? Okay, well, basically, you have your reset, your power switches. Now, the LEDs itself, they're two separate. So, of course, this is where you always have to line it up by reading the manual. It seems a little out of place because it doesn't want to exactly go in correctly. I'm just now noticing this, everybody. Give me a second. Oh, okay. Never mind. Really should just put this into this port and put this into the other port. Yeah, so it's a little weird how they have this. So really it should be the bottom two USB ports that go into this. Now it should go in snugly, no problem. Just gotta be very careful when you do this. Take your time. And there you go. So once this is fit in, there you go. All right. So that's part one. Now part two is going to be this. So you basically have to plug these pins to those pins. So once we look, you can see right there on the board what goes where. And yeah, that's about it. So give me 1 second because I'm going to have to need some concentration to do this, and then I'll show you the final product. So let me just jump cut really quick. My apologies for the jump cut, everybody, because there was a couple of things that I have to let you know about here before we continue. Please make sure there's a couple of things here. You definitely have to put the jumper wire to the correct GPIOs within the pin set right here. Now, of course, the website has all the instructions. I'll leave all that information down at the bottom. But just to show you really quickly, and I got to be very, very careful, this is exactly how you want the pins set. You got to set them on 5 and 6, so on and so forth. So that's what it basically does look like. But to have this work 100% completely, for sure work, very key thing here. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. You could enter the command line through RetroPie. You could go in F4 and then go into the command and do it. Or you could SSH it through PuTTY. That's another program. So, of course, it's not going to work until you do this. So please keep in mind. But it is key to read all of this. So without further ado, let me just put all this together. I didn't put the feet on yet. Of course, the heat sinks, we really do not need those. So let me grab my trusty screwdriver here. Like I said, my apologies for that. And let's speed this up, get this all ready, and let's go test it out. Okay, after getting all that put together, everybody, I'm going to show you that it does work. As you can see right there, there's the Rasptendo with the controller, and make sure, of course, it is powered on, but make sure, before anything, people, this HDMI cord is plugged in first before you plug this in, because initially, after you do the code and everything, it's initially going to boot up, so you, of course, you'll want to shut it down by pressing the power button, which I'll show you here. But without further ado, let's do the first power on of this. So I'm going to turn it on. You see right there the light is on. It's booting into RetroPie. Gonna let it do its thing. I'll just test the game really quick to show you that it does work. Of course, with the initial boot up, you know, it'll take a little bit of time for it to start up. And there you go. So just to show you, let me just switch my hand over really quick and show you that it does work. Really, I just had Super Nintendo in there. So let me just pick a game for you really quickly. Just really quick. Just get a random game. Something really quick. Joe and Mac. And there you see that it boots up. Works fine. Just start it up here. Like I said, just to show you that it does work, it's up, down, left. Well, I guess it's got to go up over there. Well, we'll just start this up just to show you that it does work left and right here. Left and right. Got the jump. Clubbing, and yeah. So let me just exit out the menu here and show you the shutdown. So of course, when you want to shut this down, of course they said you have to read the manual. It's very important that you do that. So leave your finger on here for a second. It's going to blink, and then you're going to get all this code. And of course, they'll show you the shutdown, and then that's it, people. So yeah. Definitely was worth doing this little project. I'll give you my final thoughts, and then we go back over to the couch. So here are my final thoughts, everybody. So dealing with both of these, I honestly got to say this was a lot easier to do. Of course, it was just more of a plug in, rip it, and to go. Fuck that up. 5, 4, 3, 2. So here are my final thoughts on the NES and Super. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So here are my final thoughts on the Nintendo and Super Nintendo Classic Mini Raspberry Pi editions here. Now, of course, as you saw in the first part, this is definitely very easy to do. All you have to do is just plug it in and go. And just from the aesthetics of it, I really do like it. I mean, simply, hey, of course, you know, you got your 2 ports here. You got those little hidden ones here. And I mean, if you want to go a different route, you know, I know everyone's like, oh, Raspberry Pi, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? The only thing that the Raspberry definitely does have a huge advantage over the Super Nintendo, or should I say, fuck. Take 3. 5, 4, 3, 2. So here's my final thoughts on all of this. I definitely recommend it. If, I say if, you are more into doing the Raspberry Pi project, you know, it definitely varies on the person. Some will think it's very easy, some won't. But simply, if you could just follow the directions as you saw when I did, it's not necessarily that hard, ladies and gentlemen. It's actually very easy. When it comes to the Nintendo, the NESPi Case, definitely was the easiest out of the 2 projects. Simply, all you had to do was just plug in a couple of USB cords, and you were ready to go. It was simple as that. Now, whereas the Rasptendo was slightly a little more harder to do, to be quite honest, but it should not deter you from not trying to do this. You know, as long as you know how to do SSH, and you know, with all the tutorials online, it's very easy to do this, and I do recommend both of these wholeheartedly. You know, I'm not going to rag on, you know, what I had prior. You know, aesthetically nice, but you know, I wanted to do the upgrade, and was definitely worth it. Woo! I almost dropped this one, but yeah, for, you know, I believe between $25-$30 each, you could get these on Amazon. It's not that hard to do, and that's about it. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video. I know it seemed a little longer than it did, but you know, I'm glad you enjoyed the content. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it down at the bottom. I have way more stuff if you check out some of my other content. I am on Facebook and Instagram, and you know, we're gonna start doing more Instagram stuff, and that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Have a good night and take care. Cheers.